NPC.
Okay, you exit. Hi guys, welcome back to our third episode of Going Deep.
Today we'll be discussing first-gen Christians versus second-generation Christians. First-generation Christians are Christians that are completely new to the faith, while second-generation Christians are those that have been born into Christian families and have been raised as Christians since young.
So let's bring our guests in now.
So today we have brought with us two first-generation Christians, Nixon and Xiang, and a second-gen Christian, Janine. Today we'll be discussing a few questions about second-generation Christians and first-generation Christians with them. So the first question is, do you guys think that second-generation Christians have an advantage over first-generation Christians?
What do you mean by advantage? Like what example of advantage?
Like they have a better faith, or it's easier for them to grow closer with God, like in a sense like an advantage like that.
Why is it so quiet?
Okay.
Yeah, so why not like you all share some of your experiences like as first gen Christians, right? Like the both of you, then like maybe like what kind of struggles do you have? Cause I imagine that it would be a bit harder for you guys to know about the faith, right, compared to like second gen Christians. So like yeah.
Okay, I think I wouldn't say that it is easier for first gen Christians to come into the faith.
We never say it's
sorry.
easier.
Okay, I'm trying to say that both are equally hard. Even though for second gen Christians they may be born into a Christian family, but they may fall into a pitfall of thinking they're safe. So you know there's a song called Highway to Hell. I don't know who sang that, but sometimes the danger is the greater danger is the danger that is more subtle. Born into a Christian family, you go to church on Sundays, everything is taken for. I would think that everything is taken for granted, and you just go on routine in life. So.
Jania.
Hey, go out.
Yes.
Myself being a first gen, I can only try to perceive or try to think, try to guess what it feels like to grow up as a second gen. So as a first gen myself, when I grew up, I could say it's a very challenging, very dark world out there. Basically, you're just very lost. At least for my family, my parents don't do much of a teaching. You ask them ultimate questions: how this world come about? How where are we gonna go after we die? What's the meaning of our life? All these questions, they give me some mythical answers. Some giant died. The giant died, and then one of the eye become the sun, one of the eye become a moon, the head become the trees, and then start to nosebleed, and then have a river flowing down. So that's how the earth was formed. But obviously not. So
that's low-key cool though.
yeah. So a lot of things you're just in Chinese we say 摸索, you're just touching your way around this world and figuring things out. Many times we make mistakes. We make mistakes and terrible mistakes, and we try to overcome it.
That's a good point. How about you then? Since you're a second-generation Christian, what do you think?
I don't think there's an advantage or Actually, as second gen Christian, I would think that there is like what Xiang mentioned, it's very easy to think that you are safe because you have a lot of knowledge about the Bible, but then we know that being a Christian is not just about the knowledge, it's about the heart, whether you believe or not.
It's about the relationship.
The relationship with God. So I guess it'll be easier for us to fall into the trap of thinking that we are safe just because we know a lot about the Bible. But actually, if you don't have that relationship with God, then there is like you are the same as a non-believer who is not saved. Yeah.
And then non-believer would be more clear.
Yeah.
It would be more clear about the boundary between before and after he believed Christ.
Yeah.
The boundary is very clear. But that being said, I think from the Bible, theologically, I think there's not really like percentage chance you can put to second gen or first gen how probable they are to be saved. It's already up to God's choice. Already up to God's choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that you all say that second generation Christians might fall into the trap of being complacent lah. But so add on to that for the second question, do you guys think that second generation Christians or first generation Christians will have a stronger faith in God?
I think it really depends. Because like, I mean, I feel like second gen Christians, a lot of people, they may like take the faith for granted also, right? Because like, it's just like a way of life for them because they have grown up with all this like biblical knowledge and like going to church. So like they'll just come church and pray as like a not say lifestyle, but just like a habit thing without like doing it out of love. Yeah. You then?
Yeah. Actually, I think for second gen, right, I would say is how the parents. I think the most important thing is how the parents nurture the kid lah. I feel. So I feel like if you're a second gen Christian, right, there's a very big advantage compared to first gen because a lot of the habits a lot of the learnings when you learn as a kid, it's like you'll be instilled as you grow older, like some moral, like your values, all that. So knowing about like some parts about the Bible, knowing how to present yourself as a Christian. If let's say the child is nurtured well by the parent, then like when he or she grows up, it'll be easier for them to mold into someone to be more Christ-like as compared to like a first gen believer, if that makes sense. Because I think like when I talk about first gen, right, so so really we got our old we got our own like old habits right. I assume like our own like pre-Christian habits. It's important also to I think nurture and guide the child properly in faith, not just like send them to like Sunday school then okay. I mean journey with the child right. So I think in a second gen Christian family is very important, which will then make second gen Christians have a more unfair advantage compared to a first gen Christian. Yeah, that's what I feel.
I agree. The way the children are brought up is actually builds the foundation up. Like the parents make them like go to church and actually like ensure that they properly listen and take it seriously. Then there'll be a strong foundation, such that in the future when they grow older, you'll have a stronger faith lah. But if the parents bring them to church just for like so-called treat it like a daycare center, they just dump their children there, then the children play, have fun. Then like they are not really building a strong foundation. So I'll say as they grow older, then they'll fall into the trap of falling into complacency because they treat church like just every Sunday go there, play a while, go home. Then they won't actually like really have a strong faith or relationship with God lah. So yeah, I think it really depends on the foundation.
So the question is whether a first gen Christian will have a stronger faith than a second gen Christian. I think first of all, faith, we define what's that mean. Faith is something that's internal, our relationship with God, whether how strong that is. And that is usually expressed by what you observe in people, how they interact with one another, whether they love people, their deeds, how they zealous, they are serving in church and outside of church, how they view their work, their school, so on. So by these, as we observe, we make a call on how strong their faith is. So for my 18 years of being a Christian, I've seen Christians who are very fervent, and some of these are usually more likely to be first gen Christians. I think because they have felt what it means to go from death into life, to be put from the dominion of darkness into a realm of light. I mean, when we are shown by the Word of God, and then we really appreciate what Christ has done for us on the cross. And so when He pulled us up from the pit where we are in before, I think first-gen Christians, they tend to feel very, very grateful to what Jesus has done for them. And out of that gratefulness flows the faith and the love and hope that comes from their life with Christ. Yeah. But having said that, I want to make a note also that doesn't mean that second generation Christians will always have a lesser faith than first gen Christians. I think I've heard of Hudson Taylor's missionary to China, Hudson Taylor's generations. I think there's a few generations of Hudson Taylor and also from Jonathan Edwards, American. All their if I'm not wrong, their sons and daughters, their children, descendants, they're all very devout people. Devout as in they have a very strong relationship with God, and then they continue to do the work of God and have influence in Christian circles everywhere in the world. So these are just two examples from Jonathan Edwards, Hudson Taylor. What I'm trying to say in summary is that for now what I've observed is first-gen Christians tend to have more, they display a greater zealousness to serve God. Second-gen Christians can still be used by God greatly. It really depends a lot on how their parents teach them. Teach them not just the words that they teach, the doctrines that they teach, what the Bible says, do devotion, so on and so forth. I think even more so their life, how they
Like
behave,
application.
Correct. Yeah.
how your parents behave, whether they live as though this God is just another religion, or this God is real, true God who created the heavens and the earth, and who really loved us and sent His Son Jesus Christ to die for us. If they really, in their lives, they really exude such a glory of God that is so powerful, then the second generation Christian will be inclined to follow and to be very strong in his or her faith as well.
Then that kind of boils down to like being a good testimony to your children, like, essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Prodigal son is a good example of first and second gen. There are two prodigal sons in the parable. First prodigal son is the one that is very obvious one, the one who just inherited everything and then just spent everything on prostitutes and all, and then he ate the pig's food, came back. So that's the first prodigal son. Then the second prodigal son is something like some second generation Christians. I would say definitely not all. So they are in the house of God most of the time working, but they feel very they feel just obligated to work. Yeah, they don't really have a relationship with their father. So, but then when they come around, I think they can also have a very strong faith as well.
I think really vary from individual to individual. Not all second-gen Christians are like that. Not all first-gen Christians are like that.
Right.
So it really depends on how close you are to God. Like, I mean, you can be second-gen Christian, but then you still you really want to come to church and learn and grow closer to God, even though you're not a first-gen Christian. So it really depends on your heart, the desire to go closer to God and how much you love God.
So you're second generation Christian, huh? Actually also faith quite good.
Wow, praise the picture.
Thank you.
Praise the picture.
I'm not the one organizing this, it's you who's organizing this. Yeah.
But I would feel say for myself, like I did fall into the trap back then. Like I really just come to church, come to YF, just play game only. Then like don't really care about God, but actually connecting with God. So I feel like in that sense my faith was very strong.
Actually, for a period of time, I'm not a playing part, but I was very doubtful of my own salvation. I don't know why, but then I think I was.
Is it every second gen Christian will go through that?
I'm not sure Do you? Like I wasn't sure whether I was really going to go to heaven or not, because I feel like my actions in church and at home didn't really match sometimes.
But I feel that's every
so it's
Christian will go through that.
Even for first gen?
Yeah,
after a while
Yeah.
After a while.
But I guess maybe we'll be in it longer.
Yeah, because I think like second gen, because we already know how the church works, right? And the expectations and how people may look at you. So sometimes we lead this double life. I mean, it's not as serious as it sounds, but it's just in church you are this very 乖 person. Then
Sunday best.
yeah, then after
Portray
that
ourselves to look like a Christian.
in school it's wow, then all the vulgarities, beep 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 beep, that kind of thing. Wait, not me.
What's up the church?
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, no, but it's so that's why I say building on her point that her actions don't match. What you say?
Your actions in church and at home don't really match
Yeah.
Then you start to doubt.
Yeah, so I will think whether am I truly saved or not, then will I be in heaven after I die?
Actually, that's a good process.
Like that.
I rather every second gen Christian think about that than
But
not
I
at
feel
all.
you only think about it when you hit a certain
age,
maturity, when you actually
15,
think
16.
Yeah, so that's why you say it's a good
yeah,
thing.
about 16
Because
hopefully.
it's where you start to think more about your
Yeah.
salvation and your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between know and believe. You've been in the church for so long, so you know about God, so you know He died for sin. But since you've been there for so long, do you actually believe you've been saved? You've been in the church since you were born, so you know everything. But Do you, in your heart, do you actually like believe or not? That's what really matters.
I liken it to be like, you know how a parachute works. You put a thing, and the parachute comes out, and then the resistance of the air keeps you afloat. So you know all this theory, but the thing is, becoming a Christian is not just about knowing how the parachute works. You gotta put on the parachute, and really jump. That's when you become a Christian.
Nice words.
I just heard this analogy somewhere before. I thought it's pretty good.
QOTD.
You don't want that.
You just look at me.
QOTD.
Quote of the
Quote of the
I
day.
don't know what you're saying, then I just say.
Okay.
Can I take a toilet break? I need pee.
You really cannot
You know,
somewhere that actually there's no such thing as like first gen or second gen. Everyone should be a first gen Christian. It belongs to us, not our parents lah. So yeah, so we are our
In Chinese, they will say,
Yeah.
the 上帝只有孩子，没有孙子。
oh cool. Yeah.
True?
Yeah lor. So
QOTD.
Point.
Then actually I got a third question. So for those second generation Christians, that their family just bring them to church, then they know but they don't believe because maybe either they're too young or they're still too immature to actually think deeply about it. Can they actually still be considered as Christians? Can they actually be considered as being saved?
it's like babies.
Or like say like 12, 13-year-old, maybe like teenager, they haven't really thought much about it.
They really just come to church like to play, and like they really don't think about like God, and they don't care about Him, don't love Him, don't intend to establish a relationship with Him, right? Then I feel that they are not lah.
especially at
Like
12 and
to
13,
Yeah,
they are
because
more or less
yeah, you
able to
think and
think.
yeah.
But I understand because like, at that age, right, you're still immature. Like I mean, when I was that age, like, I didn't think much. I just thought like, okay, I was safe because I always go church. I always pray. I always I don't even read Bible then because I was lazy. But yeah, then I just thought that I was safe lah, like complacency lor. But then yeah, I think it's really after you establish that relationship with God, then like you can be considered safe lah.
And churches need to teach that.
That's why there's Sunday school lor.
Yeah.
The importance of Sunday school.
It's about emphasizing on the relationship with Jesus Christ. Romans 10 did say, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, and in your heart you believe that God raised him from the dead, then you will be saved. That's what the verse says. I think what it means is that we need to have the right relationship with God. That's what really determines whether a person is saved or not. It's not about how many church services you have attended. It's not about how many youth ministries you are taking part, participating, how many Bible quotation, memory verse prizes you got. Yeah, I believe there are people who have read the entire Bible, but if they don't have a relationship with God, then they are still vulnerable to the flames of hell.
People who want to denounce the Bible also read the whole Bible. So yeah, so.
Okay, to sum up this episode, for second generation Christians, in a sense, their faith really depends on how they were brought up by their Christian family and how they were raised in church.
Oh. Sorry, that was so fast. Yeah, but whether you're a first or second gen Christian, what matters most is your own personal relationship with God. Like you shouldn't look at your parents' relationship. It's your own one. Yeah. So thank you to our guests for joining us today. And we'll catch you at the next episode. Yeah.